This is the men's room.
Get it, man, and get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
You're listening to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Say hello to our friends at 98.9 The Rock in Kansas City. Kansas City's Rock Station. Also 105.3 The Bear in Blacksburg, Virginia. And Big Dog 97.9 in Joplin, Missouri. Welcome to the program, guys. Big show for you today. Bad jokes on the way. Ted versus the FCC. Another round of profile this. And today our question, what happened on the plane? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Vance. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches!
Hola!
So this happened today.
Excellent.
So I'm on my way back to wonderful Seattle from Sacramento, and I've got to go to L.A. via Sac to get back home. We pull out of the gate, and we're on the tarmac, and you get the wonderful, this is the captain from the flight deck, and we were notified that LAX is delaying us over an hour. So we got to sit on the tarmac.
Did they say why?
They said it was due to over traffic, which is not unusual for LAX.
Sure, okay.
So this gal's in first class with me because I got upgraded this morning, lucky me. And she immediately starts going off. Oh, no, you have to take off now. I'm going to Rome. I need to get my catch my flight from L.A. to Chicago so I can get to Rome on time. I've been planning this for over a year. And the young flight attendant, she did her best. She's being very kind and courteous. But this woman for an hour would not stop. You have to take off. You need to tell them to take off. You need to call them in L.A. and tell them to hold my plane, and just going and going and going like she was the queen of flipping England.
I mean, was she anybody that anyone's ever heard of?
No, I wouldn't know her from Adam. It was like the little old lady from Pasadena.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. But someone just has to explain to her, like, look, everyone on this plane is really effing annoyed right now, and I can promise you, even if they make these calls, nothing's going to happen. So save it.
Exactly,
I mean, honestly,
right.
Nothing is going to change.
She didn't want to hear it. She did not want to hear it. She wanted, yes, ma'am, we're on it. We're going to take off just for you right now. It was like the howls from Gilligan's Island. It was just lovey, and you're going to take off right now.
So was she an older lady? I'm picturing by the analogy you're making here.
Yes, she was. She was one of those. This is an elitist story. She was very elitist.
And what are you doing in first class? You're all upgraded. Are they serving drinks?
I was absolutely getting my drink on.
Yeah,
as soon as you get upgraded.
Non-stop. Everybody was putting their headphones on, watching whatever they could on their tablets, just trying to ignore this lady. And then she gets on the phone and she's doing it to customer service. At the same time, she's doing it to the poor flight attendant.
Oh my God! And no one said, "Ma'am, there's nothing we could do. Nothing. There was nothing that could be said that she would understand."
No, I mean the captain came out of the cockpit to try to explain the situation. He's like, "We have no control over this. This is LAX. I don't care. You need to fix this."
And she was flying alone.
She was flying alone. I guarantee meet up with a friend of hers at L.A. so they could fly to Rome together.
She killed her husband 10 years earlier just by driving him nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
He should have lived.
If it was her first husband, it might have been her fifth.
Right. Either way, he's dead. There's no way he could put up with it.
He pulled the car over.
I can't take it anymore.
And walked in front of a train.
He did. He's like, I am out.
He just pulled over calmly and just.
This is not worth it.
I'm done.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, he jumped out.
Yeah. And he's gone. What happened on the plane? 844-999-OLA.
I think the last thing he said was he jumped out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first time I ever got in first class, same thing, unexpected upgrade. And we got delayed 3 hours. Flight attendant's trying to be cool, and luckily I'm already kind of half in the bag. But there was some reason that we couldn't close the door to the plane. So the one thing I'd asked her, I said, well, can you at least serve drinks, while we're waiting here? And she said, well, sir, federal regulation is that as long as the door to the plane is open, at the very least, we cannot serve alcohol. And I said something in effect of like, I broke 4 federal laws this morning, sister. Like, who cares, man? If you got the drinks. But the thing is, she relented and started serving drinks.
Oh, nice.
And, well, things ended poorly, but they started great. That's probably the best way to say
that would be the thing. If you're going to be upgraded and have all the luxury of first class, man, because I do remember the time in first class, it's like, oh, they gave me a hot towel.
I don't know, hands or face,
and now
though.
I got to listen to this. Now I got to listen to this goddamn woman just lose. Like, please, the one time that I get to be up here and stretch out and eat like real food,
right?
And the whole deal that all these people get all the time. Now you're going to just keep yapping and yapping and yapping and drive me nuts.
Snap her on the
Dude, the
towel.
first time I got upgraded by mistake, I just fell asleep.
By mistake? Well, because you can.
Well, and I didn't realize.
No,
this
wanted
was
to
years
stay
ago,
awake.
so I didn't realize you still got meals and this and that. So it just was a bigger seat. So I was like, cool. And I went to sleep.
What do you
missed
do
the
with the
whole
hot towel?
experience.
I've asked this before, and
It's
I
for
honestly
both.
don't remember.
Yeah,
Is it both?
hands
Yes,
down,
it's both.
Think of it
Okay.
like sushi. Whatever you want to do with it. Just
I don't know what to do with that either. I'm like, stop giving me the hot towel, man.
Oh, I like a hot towel. I, feel
I
like,
don't mind it. It's that I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it.
I wish every place had a hot towel.
Well, sure. But I mean,
Awesome,
like,
you know what I mean?
I always do my hands, and then I wait to see if anyone else does their face.
It's like when you get a wet nap. And you're like,
face.
oh,
That's
wet nap,
different.
Wet nap.
Because a
You know
wet
what I mean?
nap. Hey, okay, here's the thing.
Am I the only one who gets excited about a wet nap?
With the hot
No,
towels?
dude, I saw somebody else get real fired up
I
about a
get
wet
fired
nap
up about
just
the
the other
wet
night.
nap.
Now, he is 15.
Okay, but still.
He was shocked that these exist.
All right.
And
I'd
then his
rather-
exact quote was, these are the same ones they have at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yes.
Imagine that.
I was like, yeah, it's a wing joint.
I would rather have the hot towel in place of the wet wipe, right? So imagine you go to the wing joint, right? No, you still get messy, but like they come by with like 2 or 3 hot towels to clean up, man.
Now,
Come on.
if I'm eating food, I want the wet nap.
I want the wet nap.
Now,
Oh, yeah.
On the plane.
It smells good.
Yeah. And you do the face first, man.
Oh, it's a,
You want to
With
get all
what,
those
the towel?
Yeah, get all those oils off. Then you can do your hands.
You saying I'm oily?
We all are.
Okay.
You just
Right
don't
there, your
realize the
T-zone, brother.
You got the hot
What the hell
towel.
is my T-zone?
Like right here on your head.
T-zone.
I
T-zone. Never heard it called the
I've
T-zone.
never heard of my T-zone.
Well, I
It
don't
looked
think
like
you
you were
guys
like-
are exfoliating.
See, true Catholic. T-zone.
Is that a thing? The T-zone? For why? What?
Eyebrows and nose,
What do you mean?
basically?
What's the T-zone? How do we not
It
know about
always
it,
gets
Robin?
greasy and stuff. Like
How does he know the T-zone? We've never heard the T-zone.
I've never heard of the T-zone.
Mike Hawk, you ever heard about the T-zone? Where are
T-zone
you?
is what you, I don't know, as you pay attention to it because that tends to get a little more oily because it's near your forehead and stuff.
What do you mean?
I
But when
had
you
no
pay
idea.
attention to it, what do you mean by paying attention to it?
It gets
You
gross.
just make sure it stays cleaned, like you wash your face, make sure you pay
Yeah.
attention to the T-zone,
Well-
make sure you moisturize there. First of all, it's the first thing people
Shouldn't you
see.
just wash your face?
Right, that's what I'm
like,
saying. Like,
I don't
why do
leave
I-
it out.
why do I
I'm
give-
sorry, there's no logic welcome here.
Hey, I leave
No,
my left
this is
cheek
a- this is-
unwashed.
Exactly.
The
Always.
T-zone
I mean,
is
like,
something
always.
the makeup industry came up with
Do you
so
know
that
why?
they can make
Oh.
sure
That you're
you're
covered.
using the correct products
On the
in the
T-zone.
middle of your forehead.
I see.
Okay.
All right.
T-zone.
All right.
I learned something new
I
today.
had no idea.
I
I
did
swear
not
to
know.
God.
have you never been to a makeup store with like
No.
the wife or girlfriend?
No.
Never?
Have you
Never.
ever? Let me rephrase that. I've never paid attention.
No.
I mean, if that,
For
if
a
there's
man,
my daughter wears
right.
this
The
stuff.
T-zone is where women would, I guess, use your facial cleanser and put your makeup. For a guy, it
I'm
could
glad
be
you went
where,
there.
It
Ladies.
could, it could be where a man asks a woman to drop hers. It's the T-zone.
Ladies, I'm going to tell you this right now.
I don't know. It's-
I'm going to stare at your T-zone so hard, you're going to tell me to look at your cleavage.
Where? The T-zone.
The T-zone.
T-zone.
You mean- oh, on your
Oh.
face. I'm so sorry.
Yes, exactly.
I want to apologize. I didn't realize the T-zone would be located on your face.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to wipe
like,
that oily
yeah.
part out first.
Wonder if that's a category on Pornhub.
Yeah, T-zone.
What happened on the plane? 844-999 Ola.
Hello, Lauren. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
Okay, so I was flying from Texas to Washington, and I had probably had way too much to drink the night before, so I had to rush to the airport. I got on the plane, and this lady was putting her suitcase in the overhead compartment, and she kept apologizing about the smell and saying that she would hope it would go away. But I was still fairly buzzed, so I was like, whatever. So I took a nap, and when I woke up and the flight had ended, it smelled so bad on the plane. And when she opened up the compartment, we found out that she had an entire suitcase of live crawfish on the plane,
my God.
and it had leaked all over my suitcase.
Oh.
The guy next to me's laptop.
They were live. They were live.
They were alive. So they were in like salt water, and she was trying to keep them alive for the whole flight.
How did they get through security?
Did she just put salt water in her suitcase and then dump the crawfish in it?
Well, you could see that it was wrapped in a plastic bag, so I'm assuming she had them in a big plastic bag inside her suitcase. But she got off that plane so fast, and the guy behind me's laptop was just destroyed, and he was crying, and everyone felt so bad. But it was so gross.
I mean, did she get in any trouble, or she just disappeared and that's it?
She got off as fast as she could. She was one of the first people off, and she was also one of the ladies on the flight that, like, took her shoes off and put them in the aisle and was, like...
Oh, man. You know,
taking up the entire space.
So, wait, did all of your clothes or whatever's in your carry-on, did it end up smelling like dying crawfish?
Yeah, I got a new carry-on after that trip.
I bet you did.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever had the person when you're getting off the plane that thinks it's their business to go to the front of the plane before everyone else?
On occasion.
Yeah. Oh, God.
But they don't open the door any faster.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, man, it's not how this works. Same with getting on. You know what I mean? Like, you have an assigned seat. Like, oh, I'm afraid there's not going to be any... Oh, don't be afraid.
Yeah, getting on.
Don't be afraid.
The only thing I say with overhead, though, hey, man, just put it over your seat.
Yes, don't be afraid.
I've never understood that. Like, why wouldn't you just put this over? Why are you sitting 8 rows behind where you just put your suitcase? Because then you get mad when I move it. Like, dude, you're sitting back and put it over your goddamn head. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, there obviously just isn't enough room.
No, even when they do, some people, their thought process is
when they see it,
when
they
the plane lands, right? I get up, I can cruise to that part, and then I grab my suitcase and go. And it's like, that's a great plan. I just put it in the middle of the aisle.
See, I always wait to the very last second to get on the plane, right? I'll just sit at the gate.
No, you're that guy.
Yeah, so then I'm just looking for any open space, and I'll just shove my bag in.
That's a way to work it. Bad jokes coming up. You can email the bad jokes to the men's room at mensroomlive.com as the drug in charge Ryan Castle will be in to kick off the bad jokes right before we drink a toast with the shot of the day. Our question, what happened on the plane? More of your calls coming up. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Welcome back to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
United Airlines flight turned into an emotional roller coaster for a passenger who was left devastated by a man who body shamed her until another passenger swooped in to set things right. In a Facebook post, Savannah Phillips described how the man seated beside her on a flight to Illinois from Oklahoma left her in tears after he sent a text message within her view calling her a smelly fatty. Phillips said she usually tries to, quote, sit in a row where I don't have to sit next to anyone. I'm not the biggest person on the airplane, but I'm not the smallest. My worst nightmare is someone being uncomfortable because they have to sit next to me. However, on this particular flight, Phillips was unable to select her seat and ended up being seated by another man who left her shocked and crying before the plane even took off. The man, who Phillips said appeared to be about 60 years old, had written the message in a huge font with the brightness fully turned all the way up. His phone was maybe 12 inches from my face, and he proceeded to text someone that he was sitting next to a, quote, smelly fatty. Before I knew it, I could feel hot, salty tears coming down my face. I sat and cried silently, hoping this guy didn't try to make small talk because I didn't trust how I would react, and I didn't want to get kicked off the plane. I was hurt, I was shocked, and I was like, the confirmation of the negative things I think about myself on a daily basis. As she sat there silently, Phillips said the flight's pilot announced there would be a 30-minute delay before takeoff, furthering the woman's dread of having to spend more time next to this creep. After 10 minutes, Phillips was surprised to see someone seated behind her, later identified as Chase Irwin, tap the man's shoulder and say, "Hey, I need to talk to you." "We're switching seats now," Irwin said, according to Phillips. After the passenger seated beside her asked why, the man replied, "You're texting about her, and I'm not putting up with that." He comes and sits next to me and is shocked when he sees me crying. He asked if I saw the text, and I nodded yes. He encouraged me not to let that guy
he asked?
Get to me.
Because if she said no, I did not. He called you a smelly fatty.
Yeah.
Let the hot, salty tears let him roll.
He then stopped the flight attendant and told her what he was about to do. I told him thank you for what he did and that it meant the world to me and that he would be my husband's favorite person. Phillips said a flight attendant.
Wait, you're married?
Also praised Irwin. Forget it. Forget everything.
Whatever. Switch seats.
God, whatever. Offering him free drinks, telling him he was a good guy. He was a hero.
He's an alcoholic. He just did that to get the free drinks.
Yeah.
Make no mistake, this is not a good guy. This is an alcoholic, saw an opportunity. I will say, we were on a flight once. I was Miles, and you were sitting behind me.
Yes.
And I sat next to a woman. This is a real thing. On the flight, I'm sitting next to a woman who I believe had never seen or spoken to a black person.
That is correct.
Something to that effect. Seriously, dude. She was flying to like northern Michigan. We had a hell of a flight. We had a great time. We really did.
Mm-hmm.
But Miles was sitting next to a woman of larger carriage.
Yep.
And at one point, I turned around, and it looked like she had your arm around you. I'm pretty sure it was just her boob.
Yes.
But, I mean, Miles was squished in the seat, and I don't know what you said or did, but this girl loved Miles by the time this flight landed.
Mm-hmm.
She was just laughing. But every time I saw you, I would see, and I'm not being mean, but I can see like 2/3 of you.
There wasn't a lot of room left in the seat.
There definitely was.
I just wanted to make sure that she knew that was all right, that we could handle it. You know what I mean? It wasn't
What
that big
did
of a
you
deal.
say?
I'm drunk. It's cool.
Don't mind your ass on me.
Exactly.
How do you broach that?
Well, there was
Did
nothing.
she say sorry and you're just like, don't sweat it?
Yeah, there's nothing she could do about it.
More you love, Mama.
At that point, we'll do the best we can.
Well, look, I'm not a small person, but I got on a flight once, and the only seat left was between two, like, really big dudes. So, like, they don't want me to sit there. I don't want to sit there, right? So I wedge my fat ass in there, and then they're kind of chit-chatting, and it's a Sunday, and they're like, they're going to watch TV or whatever. So I'm like, you guys going to watch NFL football? They're like, yeah. I was like, can you put it on mine? And they're like, yeah. And then one guy starts pulling out. He's like, I got a drink receipt because they keep screwing up our flights. So I was like, all right, I'll take your drink.
Party's on.
It's one of the best flights ever been. Terribly uncomfortable.
Sure.
But great flight.
Right.
Yeah, something about that.
Yeah.
Something like, I'm sorry. Like, man, I don't care. If I fall asleep on you, though, it's actually the worst I've done. This is true. This woman wasn't particularly big. This is in Baltimore years ago. I'm like 15. I'm on a bus. I'm going home from school, all right? And this woman had just massive, gigantic old woman boobs, okay? But she sits next to me, and she's taking a little bit of my seat, but I pass out. I just fall asleep. I don't realize I'm sleeping. I wake up, I'm about 2 stops from my stop, and I realize I have fallen asleep basically face down into her boob. Okay, I mean, her right boob, I'm sitting to her right. Face down her boob, but when I lift my head up, I have drooled on the side. So there's this huge drool stain on the side of these massive boobs, and we kind of look at each other, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. It's all right, baby. You seem sleepy. I let you sleep. I'm like, all right, thank you. I don't know if she knew the drool was there or not, but I actually felt bad. Like, I just drooled on your boobs.
What happened on the plane? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Tim. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
How y'all doing?
Doing good, Tim. How are you, man?
Oh, pretty good.
Okay. What happened on the plane?
So I was taking a flight from Hawaii back to Seattle, and it was a red-eye flight, really tired, just ready to just fall asleep. Well, I was sitting just in a random aisle, and a guy comes up, and he's like, hey, do you mind switching seats with me? First thing, that was the biggest mistake I made. But
did he say why? Because I think you should always ask why.
Yeah, he was like, I want to sit next to my wife. And I looked at him, and I was like, yeah, sure.
Me too, buddy.
Yeah, man, she's great company.
And the bonus, too, was it was up at the front. So I was like, yeah, that's a great trade-off. That's what I was thinking. So then I sit down in the chair, and this lady next to me, she looked like, I don't know, she looked like she was a little sick, but...
Like a what?
Just like an average lady. Just, I don't know, she just had that, look of, she just looked a little sick.
Oh, okay.
I didn't think anything of it. So all of a sudden, around just the beginning of the flight, she had that gurgling sound of just that wettest fart ever. Just
oh, no.
Super moist.
You said a wet fart?
It was a really wet, moist fart. And the funny thing is...
There's nothing funny about that if she's sitting beside you.
Her eyes just got big, and she was just staring at the tray, and just her eyes got big, and you can tell she was like, oh, man, what did I do?
Wait, now, is she closer to the aisle or the window?
She was over by the window seat. I was in the middle seat, and because I don't mind the middle at all, but...
I would have asked her, in that moment, if I heard that gurgle, and I'm like, listen, we both know what's going on, but do you want to switch seats?
Do you think that she gambled and lost, Tim?
Yeah, I really did gamble and lost.
No, I mean, do you think that she did? In other words, do you think she crapped her pants, or did she just let a big wet one out?
So she let a big wet one out, and it really just stunk. It smelled like crap.
Well, you got to remember where it's coming from. It's
around about 5 hours into the flight, she pulled out a fan, and I think she was embarrassed and sweating, and she was just really hot, so she starts fanning it. And she fans it towards me. And I give her that look, and she just was like dead straight look, didn't care, didn't want to look at anyone, no eye contact ever. It's a red-eye flight. I was trying to sleep, and she's just fanning this crap smell all over me. And I give this guy that was sitting in the aisle seat a look, and he just kind of shook his head, and we were just in disbelief that this lady crapped her pants and pulled out a fan and decided to fan it on.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think the guy that wanted to switch seats with you was honestly sitting next to his wife, or he just saw a woman and said it was his wife to get away from farty butt cheeks over here?
To be quite honest, I don't know because, first looks at this lady, she was just, she didn't look, she looked sick. And he probably tricked me.
I'm just saying. Because, I mean, if she looked bad and then started smelling like that, I might lie to and be like, yeah, I'm going to sit next to my wife here. That's it.
I would just be worried the woman would be like, that's not my husband.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that. And then you have to level. Like, look, man, the woman next to me keeps, like
But
I
why
said,
did that lady never get up and clean her pants?
Who knows? Maybe she thought the evidence of what she had done to be obvious for everyone. If you pooped your pants, I mean, listen.
Yeah, but don't fan it.
Definitely don't fan it. The angriest, man, this is years and years ago. I'm like 14. And my brother is the opposite of me. He's a very calm, well-meaning individual. And the entire time we grew up, I maybe saw him outwardly angry like twice, right? So we're on a flight, and it's just me and him, and we're flying back to Baltimore to meet my parents, and it's on a super wide-bodied jet. So I want to say it was 2 or 3 seats on either side, but 5 seats in the middle. And we're sitting essentially in the 5 seats in the middle. And the flight itself was delayed for 3.5 hours. This was the old Eastern Airlines, if you remember, Miles. And they couldn't get the stairs off the side of the plane. You still walk down. This is down in the Bahamas. We're flying back. All right. So it is hot. They have not started up the plane, so there's no air conditioning. But on the tarmac for 3.5 hours. So my brother's already irritated. We're all irritated. But again, he's irritated. It's just weird because he's the guy that keeps calm. But the moment he snapped, the thing that put him over the edge, so we're sitting in this middle, and in the row in front of us, there's a family of 5, and they're sitting all the way across the row, but directly in front of us is this massive woman, okay? She's from the Bahamas, and she has like a sundress on, but shoulder to shoulder, my God, it's the Appalachian Trail, all right? But it's getting hot, everyone's sweating, she starts fanning herself, and we did not notice this before. Her armpits smelled so bad, okay? So my brother's sitting directly behind her. She starts fanning, and everyone's fanning themselves. She starts fanning herself, and just the reek of moist, wet, rotten armpit hits him, man. And I mean, like I said, not a lot of things set my brother off. This was enough. And he just, I mean, I've never said, God damn it. I'm looking at him like, oh, no. It's like, I can't do it anymore. And I'm like, shh, man. Relax. He's like, this goddamn woman in front of him. Like,
did she hear him?
I don't know. Like, everyone was kind of angry. And like I said, he'll never get as loud as me, but like, he was having a snap, man. And I'm laughing because it was like, I could smell it too, but it was just directly on him. So I'm trying not to laugh because he's at that point where it's just not funny to him. And I swear to God, for the rest of the time we were on the plane, maybe 6 hours, but his face was still just total disgust, mean mugging this woman. But as the flight's going on, the air conditioning's on, all right? The flight's finally taken off, and it's been hours, and he's miserable. But every once in a while, she would just kind of habitually fan herself, and man, this stink breeze would hit him. And it's just I'd have to put my hand on his shoulder like, man, you can't freak out. You know what I mean? It's like, God damn it. Never drops F-bombs. He's dropping F-bombs. And by the time we land, I could not wait to tell my parents because I thought it was hilarious. And even they laughed. Looking at my brother like, you got that up there. You don't understand how bad she smells.
What happened on the plane? 844-999-OLA.
Yeah, body funk is just a different funk.
It really is, man. It really is. Like, I'd rather smell someone's fart than their body odor because farts go away. Hello, Justin. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
How are you guys?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. So this is going back to 1997 or 1998. I was in the military at Fort Bragg, and before you do a major deployment, you go down to Fort Polk for some training, to kind of touch up on some tactics and stuff like that. So I was on what they call an advance, so I was able to actually go back early. Without the rest of the troops back to Bragg. So myself and about 30-something other paratroopers ended up going to Alexandria, Louisiana, which is a pretty small airport. And we boarded this little plane. It was two seats to one side, one to the other, with the engines in the back. We're all happy. We're going to go home 4 days early. We don't have to sit on the C-130s. We don't have to get crammed in, kind of spreading out. So we're wearing civilian clothes. We're all kind of enjoying it. Plane goes to take off. You can hear the wheels retracting. And then all of a sudden you just heard this thunderous, loud noise. It just sounded like something getting ripped apart. And the plane just kind of banked, and the pilot came down and said, brace, brace, brace. We're all holding on. What had happened is as soon as it got up, it started banking. As it cleared the runway and got up to altitude to kind of do the steady climb, it hit a flock of birds, sucked them all through the back engines. Wheels were still up, and we power dived into a bunch of a field, basically, cutting through bushes and small trees and everything, and just crash landed.
But let me ask you something real quick.
You walked away from an airplane crash.
How long does this entire process take? Because if you talk to anyone, if you talk about the idea of a plane crash, it's how long you're aware that things are going south.
You heard it. You heard brace, brace, brace. You tucked, and you just held on, and it probably was 20 seconds.
Were you in a pretty long time? You said Louisiana. Were you in a swamp? Or were you in water? Was it dry? Where you landed?
It's northern Louisiana.
Okay.
So it's like not cotton fields, but I mean it's just plantation fields kind of thing.
Okay.
So like rhododendron bushes and blackberry bushes and crap like that on the backside of the runway.
Was the majority?
By the time we got up probably 2-3 miles past the runway?
Were the majority of the people on the plane military?
All of us except for the stewardesses and the pilots and all. But I ended up with a cut on my forehead, and one other guy got 2 bruises. Other than that, we all walked away.
Damn,
wow,
that is unbelievable, man.
How long does it take to stop shaking when it's all said and done and everyone kind of gets and you realize what just happened? I mean,
well, when we landed and I mean, it goes from this amazing amount of noise to utter silence.
Sure.
All you can hear is breathing, and everybody kind of checking each other, and you start tapping the guy next to you, and you're like, "You all right? Yeah, dude, you all right? No, I'm fine. How about you? Hey, where's Jimmy? Are you okay, dude?" And everybody's kind of looking, and then when we realized nobody was hurt, we're all high-fiving like, "Hell yeah, we made it!
Sure.
Yeah." I mean,
let's get in the beverage cart.
I mean that plane, but it was. Then you're still on the plane. That they opened the doors, they were able to get out. The plane had damage to the bottom and everything. But I remember walking out, and the pilot was already outside the plane, and the first officer, one of the two from the front, was outside the plane, and we're walking off, and we're just high fiving. We're like, "Good job, dude!
Yeah.
Good job, dude!"
I can believe. I mean, look, nothing like that. But and we've talked about this before. It's not a plane, but flipped a car. We're doing a little car race on the show. Ted cut me off, tried to murder me. But anyway. The car roll, and I remember the whole process of rolling.
It's part of racing.
And it's amazing where your head goes. But anyway, at some point, like I said, all the noise stopped, the car stops moving, and I'm upside down, and he's right. It's this weird thing. You count to 3 Mississippi, because you're kind of taking everything in, right? You're like, all right, you're upside down, the windows are gone. Obviously, this is not great, but I don't hurt, I'm alive. And it's the same thing. I'm upside down, I'm like, woo! Woo! Then the fire guys show up. Like, are you all right? I'm like, yes.
Unbelievable.
Thank God, man.
What happened on the plane? 844-999-OLA.
I will say, man, I've never been scared of flying or crashing or anything like that. But I've been on one flight where the turbulence was so bad, and it's weird. The turbulence was awful. The flight, it's a puddle jumper. The single flight attendant is praying and crossing themselves, which really lends no comfort. Mm-hmm. I did not realize how bad it was. Because, when you're in the plane, it just feels like really bad turbulence. And obviously the plane landed safely. But the people that saw the plane that were on the ground, I guess they were having windstorms that day. When they started explaining what our plane was doing, they said, man, you were banking like wing to... I'm like, what? Like, you couldn't tell? I'm like, no, it just felt bumpy. If I had known how bad the plane looked, I'd have freaked out. And I remember years ago, it's one of those flights where you can pull up TV on your plane, and people are watching CNN. And
that's right.
The people on the plane are told by the captain, "Hey, we have to circle around the airport." We're basically waiting for them to clear room on the runway. But if you're watching CNN, you realize they're talking about your plane. You couldn't get your landing gear down. You're running out of fuel. and like their experts are predicting like 17 minutes left.
Right, now you got to crash.
Right, now everyone's freaking out on the plane. And I thought, man, don't watch the news on a plane.
What happened on the plane? 844-999-OLA. Hold the line, more of your calls coming up. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Customs officials have arrested 2 airline passengers in Sri Lanka for allegedly trying to smuggle 20 gold bars into an aircraft. The pair, aged 24 and 32, caught the officials' attention as they were noticed walking suspiciously, according to a report. The suspected smugglers had arrived at the international airport near Colombo when they were intercepted because of their, quote, suspicious movements.
All right.
After they were stopped and had their bottom scanned, gold bars were allegedly found concealed in their rectal cavities.
Oh!
One person was found hiding 8 gold bars in their anus, while the second suspected smuggler had 12. Now that's bragging rights. Come on, you know you can fit 4 more in there. If I can fit 12, don't even stop and bitch at me that you can only get 8 up in there. You can at least try for 9.
Up in there.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, I got 12?
I can't, man.
Dude, that's one thing I think I would actively be like, all right, cool. It's pure gold. It's
boy. 12
areas
bars?
open.
Okay.
I don't know about 12 bars. I'm just saying, if somebody gave me a gold bar, I try to.
Okay, let me ask you a question. I
try it.
I might try, but it'll probably end up being in my...
Keister it. That's what I'm looking for.
I need some big help here, all right? Because I'm not good at this stuff. Each bar weighs around 100 grams. Do we know grams to pound? I mean, I'm just trying to get
there's 28 grams in an ounce.
There's 28 grams.
And then there's, 16 ounces in a pound.
All right, so how much, if you had 1,200 grams of gold in your anus, how many pounds of gold is that, bless you, in your... So they had a combined weight of 2 kilos of gold. Total value of the gold is 61,000 pounds.
2 kilos, what, about 5 pounds? Right around.
So if you had 1,200 grams of gold...
Well, if they split...
golden grams.
One guy had about 3 pounds. The other one had maybe 2 pounds of gold in his butt.
Yeah. It's a lot of gold, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that action, right? Wonder how you train for that.
How long do you think it takes? Right, the first time you do that, like, look, you're going to smoke. Maybe you get used to it, like the veterans, like, you get used to it. First time it's like, 8 bars, man. Like, is that the minimum? And how do they do that? Because think about it. One of those guys is really angry because there's 20 bars of gold. And I think that if you and me need to smuggle this gold, like, hey, man, you take 10, I take 10. And then one dude's like, I can only do 8. Because I guarantee the guy that did 12 did not put 12 in first.
Our question, what happened on the plane? 844-999-OLA.
You know that, right, it was something like that. What are we going to do with these? The hell with it. Just give them to me. I'll put them away.
God damn it. Just give me the other 2. Hello, Sherman. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola.
Okay, so here's the story. I used to work at a small airport over in Wenatchee years ago. I was an aircraft mechanic. And we used to do charter flights in small airplanes, and we would take families up and they'd scatter the ashes of their deceased relatives.
Sounds fun.
Oh, yeah. Well, we had a pilot that didn't quite get the little rig we had set up out the bottom of the door completely. Well, Grandpa came back in the airplane on us. Oh, yeah.
What is the reaction from the people that want to see Pat, spread out over there as opposed to all over them?
They weren't very happy.
Yeah, that would suck.
And see, I wasn't on the flight. I was waiting for them to come back, and I went out to the airplane, thinking pulling up, and the pilot jumps out of the airplane. He's shaking his head. You can see this dust coming off of him. I'm like, what the hell happened? Guess what? Yeah. He starts going, I got this guy all over me. And, here's his family in the airplane. I'm like, you're kidding me. And my director of maintenance comes out, and she's like, what happened? And I just go, well, I think we had a little accident. And the pilot explains, and she looks at me, I ain't cleaning that up. And so, I got to suck him out of the inside of the airplane with the vacuum.
Just as Grandpa wanted.
Good time.
So what do you do after that? Do you, offer the sucked-up Grandpa back to them?
Well, I said they weren't really all that interested at that point. We gave them a couple hours of free flight, scenic stuff, and kind of scooted them along. And I was finding bits and pieces of that old dude in that airplane for 3 years afterwards.
Oh,
Right.
Oh, yeah, that was great. Yeah. Oh, inspection time. Great. Pull the carpet up. Oh, there's part of Grandpa.
Damn, man.
Okay.
Makes you wonder.
Good times.
I was finding Grandpa for 3 years, he said.
Good times.
All right, Grandpa.
3 years.
Hello, Dylan. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, gentlemen.
Hola.
How we doing?
Doing well, sir.
Good. So my story's a little whimsical. No one got arrested, anything like that. Starts where I allegedly ate a bad sandwich at an airport restaurant called Schlotsky's. I say
Schlotsky's.
allegedly so they don't come after me.
Right.
But with the name Schlotsky's, I don't know. Maybe I should have been a little more careful. Anyway, I get the sandwich. It's good, starting off pretty delicious. I was hungry. Get like halfway through, and then it starts not tasting so good. And like bad enough, I actually decided to peel the thing open and look at it, and layer of like cheese is what they were calling it. Like 7 different shades of like orange and green and yellow. Not normal cheesy colors. At least not the cheap kind. Everything fine. I throw the sandwich away. We get on the plane. Like a couple hours later, start getting hot. Stomach starts feeling pretty easy.
Hang on for us. Hang on. I want to hear what happens after
We
you're
know
hot.
what happens, but we'll let you tell us here in just a couple seconds. What happened on the plane? 844-999-HOLA.
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.